Hola, hello, I am Pepe the King Prono Guy.
Oh, that's so f***ing cool. And that's how we completely destroy a power board on a Leader 120. Nice.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Pepe Prawns, your host. Today we're going to do a review on the HGLRC Hornet. Before we get started on that though, and I lose you by clicking close, make sure you look at the right hand corner, and that is going to be this month's giveaway for you. So make sure you click that video. Make sure you comment only once, please, because otherwise I'm using a random picker. It will disqualify you. And subscribe. That's the two things you need to do for sure. Subscribe and go ahead and put a comment in there. Now, we got that going on, and right shortly after this one, I'm going to do the other HGLRC, the XJB145, which is extremely late to the game, but in that video I'll explain to you why, because I've had nothing but trouble getting this thing going. It's not a lot to be said about that, because most people had a good experience with it. I did not. However, we'll talk about that. I do want to point out that both the Hornet and the XJB145 are actually with some really good deals right now, so I'll have the links for those below in the description field, so check those out. They'll be right at the top after I babble a little bit about what the video is, but there's some pretty good deals right now on those, and they're probably worth getting. So let's get started and check out what we got. So what you get is the Hornet itself, bags of nuts for your props and for your motors, 6 propellers, some stickers, and a strap. There you go. That's it. Some instructions for your VTX. So let's take a look at what kind of components this little guy comes with. All the components are HGLRC branded, so I'm going to stop saying that word. So we have one of their cameras, which is a Sony CCD. We have their VTX, which is a switcher. We have their flight controller and 4-in-1 ESCs, which I'll tell you more about in a second. And we have their motors. It comes with all the wiring pre-soldered for your receiver, so it doesn't matter what kind of receiver you have, it's all wired up. You just peel out the wires you don't need. 5 volt and 3 volt are already soldered to the board, and those boards are tiny, so sometimes they're hard to solder. We got the buzzer, and we've got our pigtail already on it. It's a 3mm frame. Both the bottom plate and the side plates are 3mm. They're really thick. And so let's talk about the individual pieces while we're taking a look at it. So this little guy's a 120mm Stretch X model. It comes with their stack, which is an XJB F413 with BL Heli 13 amp 4-in-1. It also has their VTX, which is the XJB TX20 and it's a switcher, so it's PIT 25 milliwatt, 100, 200, and 350 milliwatt. It also comes with their XJB ELF camera, which is a CCD camera, but it's horrible. I'm going to have to change mine, just like everybody else did at Jello's. Mine's probably not as bad as others, but it still does it. Also comes with a buzzer. Comes with the props, as I mentioned, and those are 2.5-inch props. They're 2540s. And it also comes with their motors, which are 1106 6000 kV motors rated for 2 and 3S. I used a 550 3S. So taking a closer look at it, as I mentioned, all the wires are there to do any type of receiver. I'm going to use the XM Plus, and to use the XM Plus, you could, some people clip the wires out that you don't need. I'm going to go ahead and just desolder them from the board, and that would be the green and blue wire that I no longer need. So I'll have my input there and power and ground off the yellow, red, and black wires. So I'll get rid of those. So as you can see, all 5 of the wires are nicely soldered from the factory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder those 2 wires while pulling them out of there, and that way that just the board's clean. I cut some off once, and something happened to the quad I did, and it just made me nervous that maybe something arced or something. So just out of precaution, it's easy to do. I'll just desolder them and yank them out. So I'll let you guys see that step and be back to you in a second. So sometimes when I'm making these videos, I'm not really thinking straight. And what you really should do in this case is you should use your tweezers to grab the wire close down to the flight controller there, so you can easily pluck them off. It took me a minute to get my mind straight so I could easily get those off. Then you can just pull them out of the back. And voila. So on the first attempt at putting the receiver in, my mind told me that I'd be able to stick it underneath that support there, and everything would be fine. But it was pressing pretty hard on there, and it just didn't feel comfortable, and I didn't want that metal touching straight against it. So what I ended up doing was, as usual, if you've watched my channel, guess what I did? I pulled out my CAD and designed a holder for my XM Plus to go on the Hornet. If you should be interested, that will be a Thingiverse link that you'll also find in the description below. But let's take a look what that looks like. So once I was done here, you can see what I did was I made a piece that would sit on the riser, and I could push over to the left, so I didn't take up the full space of the top plate. And the reason why is our VTX display is right below there, so by leaving it this way, I can still see my VTX, and I can still, you know, have my receiver there. So what I did was I added some tabs on the end so I can hook some wire ties on there and make my pigtail, and right now they're just spread out so we can see what's going on. And I also just ran a zip tie across it to hold it down, because of course I couldn't make both ends. I probably could have took it to the other standoff, but it really didn't make any sense to do it that way. So nothing that a zip tie can't fix. So it's held nicely in place, the antennas are in place, and everything works good. Now, something I find super interesting about this guy is, you see that? That's like a millimeter from these props hitting the frame and the bolt. So yeah, gonna break some props, that's for sure. Sorry for the camera angle, but yeah, I'm really concerned about that, and I might, you know, I might take them down a little bit. We'll see, maybe to a 2-inch hulky or something, but first you're gonna see how they are. As you can see there, I mean, I could go down to there. I don't know what the performance change is going to be, but these props I had to buy directly from them. I didn't, so it makes me wonder if other 2-inch props are going to actually hit it, because these look like they were deliberately folded down in order to work on this. So when I bought mine, I bought a spare set of props. Might be something you want to keep in mind. So the next review I'm going to do is way late, but it's going to be on the POS XJB145. This is what happened to mine. Super meltdown. I'll show you in that video what's going on. It's supposed to be a great model. All the other reviewers had a great with it. Very similar stack, everything very similar put together. Again, this is, you know, both these models are premium models, so should have done better to me. So trying out my new camera mount for my Mobius Mini on my glasses, I figured I'd try to take a look at some line of sight. Kind of bores me to death. You guys tell me if you care about line of sight, but this particular video, what I wanted to show you was how you can adjust your gyro while out in the field. So the first thing you want to do is get them up, get it to, you know, a nice little bit of a hover, and then start seeing what's going on. Again, you know, you'll see in the background I'm kind of fighting the wind with 120 millimeter, but on that particular one, I'm seeing that I'm having to stick right to pull it because it's trying to go left. So what you do is you move your throttle up, and that engages to where you can adjust. So I was going right, so I'll give it 2 clicks to the right. So if you have a beeper, you'll actually hear it beep every time you do one of those clicks, and that adjusts your gyro. Then you bring it back up again, see if you're going forward, see if you're going back, but as long as you have that throttle in the up position with it unarmed, you can adjust it with your right stick by one notch like that at a time. And then you can see we're fairly decent hover here, the wind from around the house trying to blow it left, but it's not trying to go left. And you know, it's a punchy little guy. So you guys tell me if you even care to see any of this pre-stuff I'm doing, but that little tip there I got from one of Joshua Bardwell's videos, and I use it religiously now to get a good hover before I go out there. Of course, I'm doing this in angle mode, so you know where it should be level. So anyways, want to show you that tip before we get into a little bit of flight footage here. Always unplug your battery, but did for others. So, as I mentioned, it's been really windy here. It continued today. It's a steady 20, and we're getting gusts even up to 60 miles an hour still. So, I was able to at least get this flight in so I could finish up this video and get a feel for it. Now, I'm running this Firefly, which I'll have a link in below, which is an HD action camera for your micros. But I've run this on a GTR 90 to tell you how small a micro I can put this on. But it's just getting a little, you know, this is literally first run, so a little performance check. I'm just trying to buzz around hard. It did a little prop fluttering on me at the high end, but that could be solely because I'm running that camera on top of it and adding quite a bit of weight to it, so it did struggle a little bit to hold itself in the air. So otherwise, you know, it felt pretty good. I think it's got lots of power. There's a tree. It's got lots of power. That is for absolute certain. But you know, was able to handle what I was doing just to give it a check. Again, with the other video, you'll find out I'm a little leery of XJB due to what happened to that other one. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Shit happens and things burn up and so on and so forth. But you'll see in that video, that thing burnt up in 30 seconds. So imagine, if you will, this was my fire dancer for Stu and Grumpy Trev. You know, they about made that thing where it didn't sell at all from their video. And that 145 was my nemesis too. So, anyways, take a look. Don't forget to subscribe, like. Every time you like the videos, it helps me climb up so other people look at it. And make sure you tell your friends, tell it on all the chats, everything you can. I'll try to get better video for everyone when this wind storm, if you will, goes away. So final thoughts, it's a good model. It's powerful. Having to change out your camera, as like Nick Burns said, it kind of is bullshit after you're paying as much as you are. But nice crash. Never can seem to land. But it's a good model. Happy flying.